Okay, so welcome to 12.8 planning, the team meeting planning. We're not yet using the new process that we're going to be displaying in the team meeting tomorrow, I think, or maybe the next day. So we're still gonna plan this as we did before. So we have our famous 12.8 board, which is divided into different columns. We'll start by talking about the MVCs or MVPs or whatever we decided to call it for this release of the release. So there's three of them. We have one that's support predefined typed AWS environment variables. And this ties nicely into the natively supporting cloud theme that we have going on. We started in the last release by deploying the first AWS compatible container image from that's managed by GitLab, and this is a continuation. We're going to see in the next few releases also some more building blocks related to AWS deployment. And this one lets you predefine these environments under the CI/CD variables, and you can basically just select AWS and you'll have an option to choose these values from a predefined list. So this is the first issue. The second one is allow only forward deployments, which is for the entire pipeline, not only merge trains, it's for every kind of merge request. And last but not least, we have group deploy tokens, which will allow you to have joint keys between different projects. So those are the top three items of the release. Weighted 3 to 6, so we'll keep that in mind. We have quite a few bugs in this release. We have 4. I'm not sure about the spillover from 12.7 yet, but maybe we'll have some more. Well, when the highest priority in terms of the bugs besides the severity and priority labels are merge trains. I don't know if you were following, but we disabled merge trains again due to these 2 bugs. So we need to fix them and re-enable them again. Moving on, we have continuation from the previous solution validation that we haven't completed yet for research. So that's the first class review apps, which is kind of going through all the insights that we have from the previous research and deciding what our next steps in terms of review apps will be. And I'm going to stop for a minute to ask if there's any questions before moving forward.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
In the bugs column, I only see 1 merge trains bug. I know we had 2.
Maybe I didn't press enter when we did the milestone, but there should be 2 merge trains because we just talked about it like maybe 10 minutes ago. So maybe
I'll find the other one and make sure that it's in 12.8.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe it just doesn't have a bug label or something silly, you know. Okay. So under the design column, which is things that are currently under UX review/work, we have merge trains to support fast forward and merge. So this is a combination between our MVP item of supporting fast forward with a combination of merge trains. There's a little bit of a nuance over there that needs some attention. Support the predefined AWS environment variables, which we discussed, and improve messaging on pipelines for merge results. So this one is an item that's been following us around for a few releases, and Hayana really wants to get this done in this release, so we're gonna get this done in this release. Okay. Next we have this issue which popped in here, I think today or yesterday, or it's a leftover from what we were trying to do in 12.7, which was reorganize the merge button, the review apps button on the merge request widget, which it was a really large item that hid under a bug, and there was a lot of discussion in additional issues on it and in the issue on it. So this is another a leftover from work from there.
I just interrupt really quickly. I think that's not in planning breakdown anymore. I think we've resolved our answer and it's just ready for dev
Okay.
or in dev, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, it doesn't need to be broken down. We last week got to a solution that I think everyone's really happy with.
Okay.
Sarah, on this topic, do you think we can validate with the technical writers in the merge request? Because I'm fine with moving to in dev or ready for dev.
Yeah, 90% of the work, it doesn't matter what we end up saying in the end. It's more that we decided to do one thing. I mean, this is sort of a weird issue that's a little sad in some ways, that like we decided to do something and did a bunch of work to make that thing possible. And then when it existed, further up the line, people were like, no, we didn't actually want that. So a lot of what the work is just taking all of the code out that made that thing possible, but doing it sort of thoroughly so that we don't have like this dangling code left over that we're not using.
Well, I was trigger happy, so it's in ready for dev now.
Can I ask a question real quick on that issue? Is it all front end or is there back end work involved as well?
It's entirely front end.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Next, we have the scheduling column. I'm kind of in a dilemma if we should go to the ones that are ready for dev and go back to this one or start from this one. What do you guys think? Okay,
let's go through scheduling.
Scheduling. Okay, so the first item we have is truly dynamic environment URL. And this is, I would say, on the top three of the popular issues asked by customers. It's an addition to review apps. And this is something that when everyone was on break, Camille and I dove into this issue and got to a proposal that looked, that we were happy with, and so was the community. So I'm really happy to be able to tackle this. It's in scheduling because we do have quite a bit of other issues, so we need to see if we have capacity to do this. I'm a little bit concerned about the amount of work that Shinya has at the moment on this board, but we'll pin it till he comes back. The next two we already spoke about in the weekly feature flags meeting, which is, this is what we want to accomplish for feature flags in this release. And basically going forward, we want to make sure that we complete these two items before developing new features or new functionality. This is tied into the new refactor of UX that we did for feature flags. And this is like the foundation of everything. So before we get these two items done, there's no point in working on anything else. So that's decoupling feature flag environments and strategies and multiple strategies for environments. So these are two really important milestones. And I think they're the only ones scheduled for this release. But we'll see when we go back, when we go forward in the next columns. And this is a bug that also has, I think it was following us for also a few releases, record stop actions of deployments. So we'll see if we can get to that too. Merge trains is more important. Questions on scheduling?
I don't see Jason on the call, but I'm a little concerned that if the IID thing is still being a pain in the butt, it'll be a struggle to start on the feature flag work that we have scheduled here.
Yeah, Jason's out today. I think, yeah, all of this stuff sort of depends on that. So last I checked, I think we were getting close, but I think we've been close a couple times and had to go back to the drawing board. I feel like we got to get that resolved this week one way or another. So like I'll continue to work with him on getting that sorted out, I guess.
Yeah, IID is a blocker, so we really do need to get that one done. We're really stuck until we figure that one out, so.
And it's, I mean, Jason and I were joking the other day when we were talking, because it's all about the migration. And at this point, we probably could have done them all manually by hand. The amount of time that it's taken to like get through the solution. Obviously.
Yeah, don't we have an internship program? Can we take like a student?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's trying to account for a bunch of edge cases that like in a world where we have a lot of content in those tables would be important, but I think the utilization is very low right now. So we'll probably just have to make a bit of a compromise and sort of deal with the side effects if they at all occur. So, but that's on my list of things to work with him on when he's back tomorrow.
Okay. Another thing that I want to say about the items in the scheduling board is that only one of them has weights, and they should have already gotten weights since we're technically already in the milestone. So if you could like look into it and see that we're not over allocating stuff here. Okay. Ready for dev. So ready for dev, we have another bug. This one is a P3, so potentially this one should move out because there's other bugs inside the release, and I'm not sure if we can handle them all.
I think this is a bug already that we can close off very soon.
Okay.
The person who raised the bug did not. I mean, came back to us and was not able to reproduce it.
Oh, great. I hope it's fixed and not just because it's a fluke that it wasn't reproduced, but great.
Hey, Tian, so, are you saying that we can just close this one, or do we need follow-up?
That's correct.
With the report? Okay, so, all right. Do you want to just close that and then, you know, just tell them to reopen it if it comes up again?
Yeah, and since this is Shaggy opened it, you can always tell them it wasn't me.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay, so this one we already discussed. This item is relatively new, but we also discussed it offline in another meeting. So we released the container in 12.6 that when you call it with the name at version number 100, let's say. And GitHub Actions have gotten a lot of complaints about the fact that this exposes some kind of security flaw, and they should be using the commit SHA instead of the version number. So that's what we want to do in this issue. And next one is an issue that we'll discuss in length in our weekly meeting, but this is part of the new process. And basically as part of, and I don't want to open this for discussion in the planning, I want to talk about it in the weekly, but just so you guys are not on pins and needles, we gave each engineer about 4 issues to wait in this release that need to be weighted for the next one, so that we can plan capacity accordingly for 12.9. And this issue should be done by the end of the release. So it's completely up to you when you do it, but it needs to be done by the end of the release. But since I haven't talked to Chase and Darby about this specific one, I don't want to go into it in detail.
Stay tuned tomorrow for the exciting conclusion of what this issue is.
Okay. Next one, we have some tech debt of removing something, and after that, we have allow for pipelines to run in parent project. And I know there was some kind of POC that we did on this, but I'm not sure where it stands at the moment. And I don't know if anyone can update on it.
I think we might need Shinya for the status of that one.
Okay. Okay, this one we discussed, this one was discussed. And that is everything that is in 12.8. And you can see that it's a smaller release. We're trying to find the optimal number of things that we can do and not be depressed about over allocating stuff that we can't do. So this is an attempt for us to feel confident about what we're planning and delivering.
I have a quick question on one of the issues in the last column there.
This one?
No. Scroll to your left, please. The top issue in InDev.
This one?
Yeah, John, do you know if Sean is actually working on that, or do we need to reassign that?
Hey, Darby. Can you, let me pop that open real quick.
This one?
Yeah.
I was admittedly muted and trying to figure out how to take my dog out real fast. Moving to 12. Yes, I believe Sean is going to pick this up as he's pretty deep in it, and it was a relatively small issue for him to accomplish, so we decided to keep it with him versus moving it to a progressive delivery.
Okay. All right. Cool. Just wanted to make sure we didn't lose track of that one, thinking that someone else was doing it. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Any more questions? Are we excited?
Nice. This looks actually significantly smaller than usual, I think. You can definitely see it. Curious what comes out of the experiment.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it will keep us focused and will deliver things that give a lot of value to the users without like going all over the place. So I'm very optimistic.
Cool.
Orit, how do you want to handle the items that are still on the 12.7 board? I think some of them we maybe need to discuss, and that doesn't have to be in this meeting.
Well, we do have 12 minutes left, so we can move it on.
There was another thing I was going to suggest in terms of the scheduling column. Since like we haven't totally figured out how we're going to transition to the new process, but perhaps what we could do is basically like use that scheduling column as the beginning of the new process. So we basically pick the high priority things for 12.8 and kind of work through those in the way that we're doing now. And then as we finish those items up, then we just go to our scheduling board, and people can pull things from there as they're ready to work on it. Just kind of like as a way of working into the Kanban flow, instead of having like a hard cut, because I think it's going to be hard to do that with the way that we're doing it now. So if we just start to like fill up that backlog with sort of the next items, we could just fill that with what's in the scheduling column now and say, if you finish everything that's in, ready for dev, then you pull the next top item from there.
So if you were talking about a scheduling board, I'm 100% in agreement with you, where everything in the scheduling board would be prioritized by stack rank, but pulling things into a scheduling column in a specific milestone is very confusing for the users. They don't know what's going to come up. And I'm going to remind you about the auto-generated kickoff. That could be problematic.
Yeah, right. I guess that's the scheduling board notion is what I was getting at.
Yeah, so if we're talking about a scheduling board, yes. We have a little bit of a discussion in the merge request that John and Jackie were working on. That's the missing piece that I am missing. Like, how do we figure out what's in the current release and what's in the next release? That's the missing piece, but I think we should take it offline.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that's all merged, and I linked to the scheduling board and I linked to the planning process. If anybody has questions on that.
Okay.
I have a question, which is I just clicked on it really quickly to look, but it doesn't look like we have broken down the columns into back end and front end. And I just want to raise that like as an idea that we're supposed to just pull things off of something as we move forward isn't possible if we're not breaking up the back end and the front end MRs, because if we need someone else to do something like from a front end perspective. Like you can't just be like, I'm going to take the next thing if we're waiting on that end. I don't think it has to be resolved right this second. I just want to bring that up that like that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's a good call out. I think, John, let's talk about that at some point today or tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we've kicked around some ideas on how to deal with this, but haven't quite landed on anything just yet.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
think,
sense.
yeah, sorry. Sarah, thank you for bringing that back up. Like Jackie and I were chatting about a few things for Thursday or Friday, I think too. Like we're trying to have folks like review and add weights to issues like ahead of time, so we're just randomly assigning them to engineers. So Sarah, you, for example, might triage an issue that has, or review an issue that has back end and front end. So you would kind of review it from a front end perspective, and then we'd also have a back end engineer review that and kind of break those out, or at least get, ideas of what each effort might look like. But it still doesn't solve the, hey, this is just a front end issue, this is just a back end issue problem. So.
Yeah, I mean, another idea too, like, I don't know that it's always obvious too when people look at it stuff, obviously, like whether it's going to be a front end or a back end entirely. Another idea too, right, is to like have people, to have the starting column be like proofs of concept, like if we're going to work together, where someone pulls something together and everyone does that together and then breaks it up into the actually mergeable MRs is probably another way to like keep one column, but essentially you're pulling it off as a group project is another thought. But yeah.
Sarah, I know you have great thoughts on this, and I would love, if you don't mind, in one of our one-on-ones this week, if we like dug a little deeper and maybe typed out some thoughts, if you're cool with that.
Sounds cool.
Okay, going back to your question, Darby, regarding the leftovers in 12.7, I think we'll just keep consistent. Anything that has started development, let's complete it. Anything that has not started development we need to reprioritize. So don't pull it in automatically. We can discuss, but I don't want to waste any development time that has already happened.
Okay. I think we can chat offline about a few specific issues that some of these things that have been carried along for a while and aren't being like worked on actively, and decide if we want to keep moving forward with those or do something different. So
we can do that also asynchronously. That's fine.
Yep.
Anyone else? Great. So this is going to be the best release ever.
It always is, right?
Nope. Everyone is better than the last. Cool. So thank you everyone for your time, and I'm very optimistic with the fact that we're focused on this release, and let's see that happen. Cool.
All right.
Have a great week, everyone. Happy Monday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.